So, Robert, are you part of the David Gray out brigade? Get rid of him.
No, not at all. Need a statue of the guy.
It's time for him to go, I think. He's got to go. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Salt and Sauce podcast, discussing Hibs and Hearts, Edinburgh's two biggest teams, with a representative on either side. We've got Robert representing the green side of the city. Robert, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Very good, yes. And of course, myself, Stuart, representing Hearts on the podcast, as I do every week. Before we get started, we'll do a shout out for our sponsors. First up, you'll see on the screen, we've got AW Decor, painting and decorating firm operating out of Edinburgh and further afield. So anyone looking for any touches up around their home, do give the guys a shout. And Robert, our other sponsor?
Our other sponsor is Mintbox Removals, taking care of all your removals. They do office moves, house moves, and they're really good bunch of guys. So anyone needing a removal, get in touch with the Mintbox guys.
Thanks, Robert. Lovely. So this week, a bit different, obviously. We've not got any games to look forward to because of the international break. So all we're going to do is look back at the weekend, discuss the games. Both teams were in action with mixed fortunes, I think it's fair to say. And we'll actually look ahead to the Scotland game, but with our own Edinburgh twist on it. And we'll be looking at some of the best moments that Hearts and Hibs players have had in a Scotland jersey. But firstly, looking back at the weekend, Robert, have you any preference about going first or second this week?
I'll let you go first again.
Yeah, cool. It is a more positive review, obviously, at my end. It will be interesting, though, to chat through them because both teams had a 1-0 lead going into the latter stages of the game, and then it shows the vulnerability of a 1-0 lead. So yeah, for Hearts, obviously it went well. We had Ross County at home. We won 2-0. Have to say the game, I was actually away this weekend, so I've caught the highlights and read reviews and things like that. The game was a bit meh, a bit dull, a bit boring in all honesty. We were worthy of the win without it being the most incredible game that anyone has ever seen. And as I guess we'll discuss when we come to talk about Hibs, you'd absolutely take a boring 2-0 in some of these games. You don't need to be blowing teams away every week or scoring last minute winners to make it exciting. A goal in each half. Kabangu getting back on the score sheet is nice as well. Brilliant play from Beningame in the build-up. I know that we've both spoken about Beningame being a top quality player. Lovely little dummy, lovely little pass right into Kabangu's path. 1-0 up. As much as Hearts didn't really do a great deal in the game, certainly looked like they were on top. Ross County had a couple of shots from distance that were going wide or taking a deflection. They never really threatened much, and it was just all accounts a boring game. Second goal, the two goals were good though. That was your two bits of quality. We had Drama who came on, who is a guy with he's a very raw player, I think you'd describe him as. Good pace about him and things like that. Not always the best technical ability, but he scored a few goals. But on this occasion, he was out wide. He got by his man, fired the ball across the face of goal, and George Grant, my favourite player for Hearts, did exactly what I would love for him to do more of, and that is bursting into the box at the right time. It's something Paul Hartley was brilliant at back in the day and got so many goals from. But there he was attacking the near post and getting a foot to it and getting the ball in the net. And it's exactly what you want when it's 1-0 with, I forget exactly how long to go, but you're getting towards the end of the game and you just think, oh God, anything could happen in the last few minutes to cost you the win here. The minute you score the second, you can relax a little bit.
Yeah.
So 2 goals, 3 points, clean sheet, into the top 6. And actually, other results going our way with Aberdeen, Dundee United, and we'll come on to talk about Hibs, obviously, all drawing. That's perfect for us. Sorry, Dundee United losing. Sorry, Aberdeen and Hibs drawn. It's perfect for us to make up some ground a little bit. We just need to make sure that we're in the top six to actually try and catch these teams ahead of us. Did you manage to catch any of the Hearts game, Robert? Obviously, you'll have seen the score, no doubt.
I saw, yeah, I had a look at the score. I actually had it on another device whilst watching the Hibs
Yeah,
game, of the main one, so I was kind of in and out. Obviously, I was watching the Hibs game more intently, but when that second goal, uh, like the Hibs game when it was 1-0, I was thinking a bit like you said, like anything can happen. I think Ross County were kind of throwing men forward and balls in the box and stuff. But look, fair play to Hearts. They defended well, and you get the killer second goal. But it looked like to me that Hearts were worthy of their win. So,
yeah,
without being amazing, but again, you don't have to be amazing. Like, it's results over performance at this stage of the season.
yeah. I suppose the point I would go back to is I don't know if you remember the first game of Hibs run that they've been on was actually I'm sure against Ross County at home, and I remember listening to it on open all mics on the radio, and apparently you were 1-0 down for most of the first half, and the guys were saying rank rotten from Hibs. Like they'd
Yeah,
genuinely been at the peak of their awfulness at that point. But they equalised right on the stroke of half time
yeah.
and came out in the second half, got a couple of goals. Um, so it's exactly what you say. Sometimes it's just get the points, get away, get your feet up, and get ready for the next game. But
It
three
is.
clean sheet at this stage of the season, brilliant.
And a good example of that is like the amount of games where, even in the derbies, Hibs have played really well, like performance wise, but we end up with nothing.
Yeah,
It's happened so much in my lifetime supporting Hibs where we play really well and then you end up with nothing and you're like, would have preferred to have not turned up and to have, like, got a 1-0 in the 90th minute or whatever. So it's and particularly the league being so tight, which we keep saying, there's so much kind of on the line. 1-0s, 2-0s, they're particularly your home games. You
mm,
have to win those.
yeah. Yeah, even if you're not, and in fact, even especially when you're not playing well, it's easy to play well and score two or three goals, and you think, well, that was always going to happen. But
Yeah,
actually, there's another version on Saturday where we don't score the second, and Ross County maybe get a scrappy
yeah,
equaliser.
yeah,
Say they didn't. I don't think they laid a glove. I think Hearts were well worthy of their win without being particularly good.
yeah,
So no, we'll take that all day because, as we'll discuss with Hibs, Robert, when you're 1-0 up into the latter stages, anything can happen.
yeah, yeah. So I kind of I switched it off the moment it went to 1-1 because I was like, it's like I was so angry. It was like, remember when you're playing FIFA and it's just like a rage quit? That's kind of what it was. I was just like, I'm quitting this. It's gone
You've
because
had you've
I
had a
was
few, you've had a few FIFA rage quits over the year as well.
like I was just so frustrated because right, the first half, we played really, really well. We were getting the ball down, dominating the midfield. We were creating chances. Killy were actually really open. Like they were giving us so much space because Killy need points. So it wasn't the kind of backs to the wall Killy performance. Like they were having a go at us and it was leaving a lot of space. We just weren't taking our chances or we're making the wrong choice or the ball was bobbling up at the wrong moment. I'm not blaming the pitch on this one though. Like I'm actually not at all because that game was fully in our control. And as we'll go on to say, we completely mucked it up. We shot ourselves in the foot. So our first goal, Killy actually tried like a really like shocking corner. Comes to the edge then, and we just break forward. Then Levitt with a wee change of pace, we end up at the far end, and you're thinking it'd be typical Hibs here, like 3-on-1 for Levitt to just like make the wrong choice or it to go wide. But no, he picks Boyle out, and keeper should probably save it. It's not the best strike in the word from Boyle, but look, it goes in, and you're like, right, delighted right before half time. Lovely time to score. They're going to have to come out even more in the second half, and we should be able to pick them off because at that time, Killy had shown like nothing at all. So you're thinking at worst, it stays the way it is. Second half, I don't know what happened. The second half, we were horrendous. Actually, it was a really really poor performance. We didn't even let Killy back in the game because as bad as Hibs were in that second half, and again, first touch, choice of pass, intensity. It was like we were just trying to coast that the game was done, and the game's never done. Particularly at Rugby Park when they're desperate for points. And Killy, they threw that big, who is it, Innes Cameron, they threw him on, started going long. And, we dealt with it whilst not creating much ourselves. And you're thinking, right, just see this out now. We've not turned up in the second half, nor have they. And, a 1-0's would be a fair result. And I think even McInnes said that at the end. But as I've said before, the latter stages of games, and I actually thought Hibs had grown out of this, particularly kind of during this run. It's just a nothing ball into the box, and when you don't put your chances away, when you think the game's won, particularly in the SPL, 1-0 is not a safe scoreline at all. I think Gray needs to take some criticism as well for the subs. We needed players on the pitch that were going to retain the ball for us. Campbell, that's not his strength. Campbell's strength is those late runs into the box. And it just didn't work out at all. We just couldn't keep the ball. It was like hot potato. And then the inevitable happened. Killy, just percentages. We're just tossing the ball into the box again and again. And when it got to the 90th minute, I was like, this isn't won yet. This just is not won, this game. And I was waiting for it to happen. And that's why I did the rage quit, because I was just like, I was waiting for it to happen. I just could feel it in my bones. You just get the feeling, and they're going to equalise here.
Can I ask what would I think frustrate me more? And I'm obviously not trying to wind you up, because God knows Hearts have done similar things in the past against Ross County very recently.
Yeah.
Surely there's even an element of even more frustration given that they scored before that, and I mean it was offsides obviously, but it's like we spoke about in the derby. That's a wake up call.
Absolutely.
When a team gets an offside goal and you get let off with one, even if fine, okay, it is the right decision. Surely you think, right, come on, like tighten up, switch on, or whatever, get the ball into the corner, whatever it might be. I'd find that even more frustrating.
We couldn't retain the ball, and when you can't do that, and a team's desperate to get back in the game, they just lumped it. And again, it's such like defensively an awful goal to concede. We looked dodgy in defence all day. Now I know I'm saying we dealt with most of it, but like we gave the ball away to them. I think Smith at one point passed it to their forward. I think our defenders gave it away under no pressure. And you're just thinking, it looks like there's a mistake in us today. Second half, we just looked a little bit nervy. And that's what happens in football. And it's happened for us just too much this season. And that is why I'm saying that the current crop of players have done really well. And I think Gray has done well to get what he can out of them. But moving forward, they are not consistent enough. They're not disciplined enough for the full 90 minutes to get us to where we want to be.
Yeah.
That could be a really, really, really costly 2 points. Now, thankfully, results apart from the Hearts result, but we do have a cushion.
Yeah,
they did go our way, but you can't be relying on other teams. We should be going into this international break with a nice little gap there. So it felt like a defeat. I was disgusted with the second half. I know I said a point's not bad. It's still not bad on paper. And a lot of Hibs fans are taking that line. I just think we shot ourselves in the foot there. And, you have to see the game out. Just stay switched on.
I mean, on the face of it, you're right. A point's not a bad result, but it's all about how you get the point.
It is. The 92nd minute. I mean,
the other way round, it feels like a win.
It's happened. It happened last time at Rugby Park.
Yeah.
It's one of our. I said it in the preview. It's one of our bogey grounds. It gets to the 90th minute, and we're just like, it's like we're scared of them kind of just lumping it. We'd almost prefer them to try and play us, but we didn't stand up to it, and it's not good enough actually. So
No,
I was raging, to be honest.
I can see why you'd feel like a defeat. I suppose looking at it much less emotionally as a Hibs fan would, I still think it's an okay result. I still think, yeah, you get away with it because of the results
Yeah.
elsewhere. But there is also that element of you thinking, well, I fine, okay, the results elsewhere went away, and as you said, well, that was a great chance then to build a bit of a gap,
Mm,
and open that up a little bit. That's now been missed.
yeah.
But then I suppose, I mean, I can't help but think we've got a similar storyline to Hibs this season, albeit not quite as dramatic in terms of how bad to how good it's been. And I suppose a draw against Kilmarnock, when you consider how it's been over the last 15 or so games, you take the hit maybe. You take that one.
Yeah. It was, I don't know. I'm still not happy about it. Like I still can't see the positives of a point. I
Yeah.
just can't. I'm
I get that, and it's because it's the most recent result as well. I suppose if that had been buried in amongst the 15 games recently rather
yeah.
than the most recent, then fair enough. But
It was just a game that Killy offered nothing as well. Like they were so bad. They were so bad. And we were as bad second half. But like having played so well in the first half, I just don't know what happened. We just lost control completely. So um, people may say I'm being harsh, but when you're 1-0 up and you are the better team, that just see the game out. Just see the game out. I think no other team have given up as much points as Hibs from 90 minutes onwards in the league. Now that is shocking. That's just not good enough. And it could cost us. It could cost us placings, Europe, whatever.
here's hoping that's the wheels come off the recent run that you have had.
But we're still unbeaten.
Yeah, no, well, that's all joking aside. That's true. You are, and I suppose I know you're struggling to look for positives right now as a Hibby. Again, I still think it's partly because it's in the last minute. It's your most recent game,
Yeah.
and the second half performance is poor. So that backs up my argument about the derby, about the recency bias. But I get why you're feeling like that. In fairness.
Mm.
Um, so moving on, obviously no games this weekend to look forward to domestically, but we do have the Scotland game. We've got Greece obviously on Thursday night, and then again on Sunday. I'm actually going to the game on Sunday as
Oh,
well,
nice.
which will be great. Looking forward to it. Although both of us would put our clubs first, we're both big Scotland fans as well.
Yeah.
We're in Germany for the Euros, etc.
Yeah.
So what I thought would be a great twist on the salt and sauce version of looking forward to a Scotland game is to look at some of the best moments Hearts and Hibs players have had in a Scotland trip, and to make it totally fair, I thought we could pick one from each club each, if that makes sense. So I'll pick a Hibs player and a Hearts player, and then a Hibs player and a Hearts player from yourself. I'm happy to kick us off. I've got a couple ready to go.
Can it be one that has played for the clubs rather than like was a Hibs player at the time?
Yeah, because actually the one that I've picked for Hibs was not a Hibs player at that time, but
Okay.
I very much associate him with Hibs as well. So the first one I'll pick because it's not quite as exciting, I don't think. Because actually, I was thinking about Hearts moments over the years, and I don't know if there's a massive, unless there's an obvious one I'm missing. I'm not sure there's a massive one that stands out. I do remember, if you remember, Gary Caldwell scored a 1-0 goal. Obviously, he's a Hibby, so I could have picked that moment against France, which was brilliant at Hampden. The one
That
that
was going to be my one.
I was at them, and oh, well, apologies if I've leaked that. But
That was okay.
Paul Hartley took the corner, which is a nice little Hearts Hibs
Mm,
connection there, and he was at Hearts at the time. So, but again, I thought, oh God, taking the corner for a winning goal, like it's not the most exciting thing in the world.
mm,
Craig Gordon had a great game that day. He was up against Thierry Henry, and and obviously Gordon was pretty young at that point, but stood up against him and all that. What the one I've gone for is more just a cheeky one, and it was actually the 0-0 v Portugal recently. And there's a great photo that was circulating after it of Ronaldo moaning to the ref, and Craig Gordon's just laughing at him. Now, I've always had a different opinion about when footballers laugh at another footballer, and I actually find it quite annoying when they overdo the laugh. And I'll give you two examples. One was Sam Allardyce when he was a manager. I know you love
Yeah.
Big Sam.
I love the incident you're talking about.
But when one of the
Oh,
players died, I forget who it was. It was a big, I'm sure it was like a long-haired centre half. I can't remember who it was, but he sort of
yeah,
be kicking himself about a wee bit. And Allardyce does this laugh, but he properly goes ha, and opens his mouth.
yeah.
I actually find that a bit
Oh,
cringe. I think you're trying too hard at that point. The other example of that is I don't know if you remember Tony Ralston laughing at Neymar when
yeah,
Celtic played PSG. I honestly think PSG won something like 7-0 or 7-1 that game.
yeah.
But there's this photo of Ralston who was, dead young at the time, laughing at Neymar. And everyone was like, oh, what a legend. And I was like, oh, he's just been pumped 7-0. But again, it's the way he's doing the laugh. He's
Mm.
got his mouth fully open and like again, it just looks like he's trying to wind Neymar up rather than actually doing it more subtly. I think there's a subtlety that I would prefer when you're laughing at a player.
It's like the Sam Allardyce one was like the Undertaker to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew that would be right up your street. It's
Oh,
exactly.
I have a lot of time for that. So
I've got a lot of time for players or managers laughing at other people. That's fine, but the way that they did it,
yeah,
Stephen Naismith had a couple of examples where I thought you're overdoing the laugh. Stop doing that.
mm,
Craig Gordon one's really subtle. He's just got and big handsome lad that he is, just got a nice charming smile on him. He's clearly just having a wee giggle to himself at Ronaldo's expense. So I really enjoyed that. Partly because I reckon Craig Gordon, from a Hearts point of view, is as close to we've had as one of our own being a player at that top level. Obviously not
mm,
Ronaldo's level,
mm,
but certainly the player that had the closest run to getting up to that sort of level. I know he got injured when he was at Sunderland, but there was talk of Arsenal, Man U in for him at that point. So for me, it was just nice to know that at 42, he's still playing, he's still up against the likes of Ronaldo, and he's just laughing it off. So I like that from Gordon. The Hibs one that I've picked is probably a more obvious one, and although I don't think he was at Hibs at the time, in fact, I'm sure he wasn't. Lee Griffiths' free kicks against England.
mm.
It is two of the best sporting moments I've ever had. And obviously, as someone like Griffiths, who's scored many a goal against Hearts, he's given a lot of banter against the Hearts fans. He's Hibs through and through. What a legend for those two moments.
I know.
Absolutely,
It just
all rivalries out the window at that point. And I know there's a huge asterisk next to picking this one,
yeah,
given that they equalised. Stuart Armstrong, why didn't
yeah,
you just clear it? But that said, those two moments. I mean, the first free kick, you're absolutely buzzing. Like, wow, what a hit, mate. We all knew you had your great left foot. It was his first goal for Scotland. He makes an arse of the celebration. He tries to slide on his knees, but
mm,
he falls forward. Um, and then we get a free kick in pretty much the exact same position 2 minutes
mm.
later. And oh my God, it's even got the brilliant Martin Tyler commentary. Griffiths goes again. And oh, it's so good. And the scenes of the crowd celebrating is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's absolutely manic. Whenever I watch it on YouTube, I just stop watching after then. I close the
I
window.
know. That's my thing about them.
Yeah.
For those few minutes, it was amazing. But
And that's why I picked that. Although there is like I say that moment after that we all know happens. It doesn't take away what it was like to celebrate that,
yeah,
particularly that second one going in.
mm,
Absolutely brilliant. And also just it was nice that Griffiths, for all the troubles that he had in his career, it was nice that he had that moment where he just showed everyone what a quality footballer he
yeah,
was up against, admittedly a good side in England. And he was an unbelievably talented guy with a brilliant left foot.
yeah.
So to do that twice on a good stage, good on him. So Craig Gordon and Lee Griffiths, I'm going for two of the more recent ones.
Okay. So for my Hearts one, obviously Gordon's made some fantastic saves, and he's one of my favourite Scotland players over the years. Um, but just for the story behind it, I would probably go for the Suter goal against Denmark.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think that anyone that's had injuries, I've currently got one now, and I'm not far from a professional athlete. But the mentality it takes, and particularly as a professional footballer, you can only imagine. You're used to being, in with the lads every day. It's your livelihood. You wonder, will I be the same player again? And to go through that multiple times in his career, and still come out the other side and represent your country, and come and score when you're back from that injury is just a really nice story. So
Just go for your country full stop is
full
brilliant.
stop, but I think
You must have thought his career was
it
over.
shows his mentality. From what I gather in his interviews and things, he comes across a really nice guy as
Yeah,
well. So I'd probably pick the Suter moment against Denmark.
yeah, and it's great because Suter was one as a Hearts fan. When you see him every week, you're going, listen, this guy's really good. He deserves a
Yeah.
chance. But if you don't support the club, you don't see him every week, and you're thinking, well, I don't know, is he that good?
No, I always thought he was good.
He is a
I
good.
always said that. I always said he was good.
Well, that's a good choice, Rob. I like that one. That was a great moment, and he was at Hearts at the time, so obviously I was really bigging him up at that point, and brilliant to see him score as well. So
Yeah.
no, that's a
Yeah.
good one, mate. Your Hibs one?
My Hibs one, as you said, obviously the two free kicks
Yeah,
from Griffiths were really good, but um, I'm going for the Gary Caldwell
yeah,
against France. One, I was there with yourself and others,
yep.
and second of all, it was against France, one of the best teams in world football. And third of all, it was just the bedlam that kind of ensued. And I don't think Caldwell was at Hibs at the time. No, he wasn't. He was at Celtic.
Yeah.
But it was just such a good moment. And, for him to pop up at that time, I think the player misses the ball and Caldwell just slides in. And, it was brilliant.
It's so good because that was after the World Cup 2006, and I was in I'm sure that was a qualifier for Euro 2008, and we had France and Italy, literally the two World Cup finalists in our group, and you're thinking, oh, for God's sake, like typical Scotland. And obviously we beat France home and away. We went, but this was the first game,
Was that
and
the Picket Outland row?
that was the pick out Landry. That was McFadden. That was a set. That hadn't happened yet. But Caldwell scores this one. It's so good because we're up against the World Cup runners up, and we score a bloody slide tackle against them, and it's one of the most back to the walls performances I've ever seen. We must have had like 12% possession or something like that, and but obviously the fans are going crazy, singing "Doa Deer" for like 45 minutes of the second half.
That was class.
Yeah. No, that's two brilliant moments actually, both involving centre halves coming up and grabbing a goal.
Yeah, they'd be my two moments, I'd say.
Great picks. No, I'd fully support both of them. Very quickly before we finish up, then Rob, predictions for the games against Greece. We've got them away on Thursday and at home on Sunday. So I forget. I'm never quite sure how all these things work, but ultimately we win the two-legged affair. We stay in Group A for the Nations League, so we're playing against better teams and things like that. So not that we need to worry too much about that, but ultimately, are we going to win on aggregate against the Greeks?
Yes. I think the second leg being at Hampden puts it, firmly in our favour. I think Greece are okay. I don't think they're amazing. And I think we've shown we can mix it with the best of them. I'm expecting us for it to probably be a draw in Greece. And then we're going to pump them at Hampden.
Brilliant. I love the attitude. I'm saying, I agree with Greece are, obviously they won Euro 2004 many years ago, but I think they've been pretty average since then. My concern is we are good against the big boys. That sometimes the level below the big boys we struggle a wee bit. But no, I think we'll draw 1-1 in Greece and we'll win 2-0 at Hampden.
By the way, just thinking of former Hibs players as well, McGinn would be a shout. Like he's countless moments as well. I'm just thinking there, like he has been Mr. Scotland. He's been like McFadden was under that run. So, he's unlucky. I just can't. He scored that many. I just can't pick one right now. But
but also
it's in with a shout as well.
He's not as much as McGinn has had some big moments. It's not beating France 1-0 slide tackling it in when you're Gary Caldwell. I mean, the fact it was Gary Caldwell doing that and scoring goals, that was not exactly his forte. But one
No,
thing I will say, I was at the Croatia game that we had recently, or not that, well, a while ago now, but McGinn scored a winner in the 85th minute in that game. It was in the Nations League, so it's not as important. That's why I would still go for your Caldwell moment
did he
over.
score the third against Spain again?
No, that was 2-0. That was
Oh, that was 2-0.
McTominay double. McTominay double.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I was actually at that game as well. That was a brilliant moment. If only
I'm getting ahead of myself, 3-0.
I know, I know. If only McTominay had played for Hearts, I could have gone for those two.
Oh, imagine.
I know, I know. Right, on that note, we'll call it there for this week. Great to catch up as always, Rob. Looking forward to the Scotland games. Looking
Absolutely.
forward to seeing how the Hearts and Hibs players do on all their international duties. We'll be back to preview the domestic games when they come back, obviously in about a week and a half from now, after all the international games have been. So we will see everybody then. Robert, I'll see you then.
See you then.